Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Believe it or not, I had already recorded this and there was no audio because I don't know. So here's the take two of it. Just so you know, this is the third episode of my Kickstarter Gems series on this channel, where I go and peruse through Kickstarter and seeing if there is any kind of deck out there that really catches my attention for one reason or another. And in this particular episode, we have something quite delightful. The nice thing about it is that we're going to be able to really highlight and feature in the last two Kickstarters of this video. It's going to focus on AI art mixed with tarot. In addition to that, just kind of seeing all the beautiful different art pieces and their own little takes on it. It's just something that I really look forward to, and it's just something that I like to highlight as part of my channel, since it just really resonates with me on how you can take such beautiful art and such artistry and just kind of combine it with the world of tarot and then make a beautiful masterpiece to go along with it. So if you really are enjoying this kind of content, please subscribe to this channel. I'm just trying to make a little corner of the internet over here just a little bit different with my own little tarot thoughts and content, and make this as approachable to everybody as possible. And if there is any kind of Kickstarter that I should pay attention to next time, feel free to let me know in the comments as well. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, for this very first deck, this is the Little Odd Tarot. What's really interesting about this one is that this is a 78 card black and white tarot deck. Now, this is one that I have seen perusing around in terms of the black and white art style, but this particular one, and also being on Kickstarter, really caught my attention. This is from El Paso, Texas, and their pledge goal has already been met. So if you were to go and pledge this right now, you should be able to have this Kickstarter ready to go and out and about. Now, for this one, this particular Kickstarter has been created by Michelle Castro. And the really nice thing that they have done with this very first deck is that they have taken a lot of the really good aspects of what makes a good black and white deck, and as well as combining it with almost like these comic strip style, very 90s type approach to it, where each character is very unique. Especially you can see the difference of the aspect within their eyes themselves. There is gonna be no color edging. It's gonna be a linen cardstock, so the feel of it is gonna feel very, very nice. And you get to also a chance to see all the different cards that are gonna come within there, since all of them have already been created, and you get to see their full artwork. The really nice thing about this is that it follows very closely to your Rider-Waite-Smith tarot artwork. So if you are a new tarot reader, if you want to give this as a present for somebody who wants to get into tarot, this can be the perfect thing to get them started, as it should not be very difficult. The back of the card is really nice and interesting because it does follow a very symmetrical outline, so it makes it perfect for anyone who wants to do both the upright and reverse positions of it. The deck box itself, as you can see within the artwork, it's going to be very concise. The only piece of color that we're going to be adding into this is going to be this teal-like color. But the artwork, even within the lettering itself, you should follow it really closely. Within this prototype that is already here, you can see that it's going to come in a two-piece talk box. How wonderful the cards just kind of got a chance to be printed. How they're very nice, clear, and concise with each one that you get to see. Plus, you get to see some doodles on how each one came to be. If you're looking and you're very interested in pledging yourself for this particular tarot deck, you're going to be looking at a minimum pledge of $50, which should include the 78 black and white tarot deck with the guidebook and the two-piece talk box to go with it. The estimated delivery time is going to be November of 2022. So this could probably make a great Christmas present. Now, this particular tarot deck is going to be very interesting because it's going to be all in Spanish, but it's okay because I'm going to help translate. This is the So Long Marianne Tarot. And what's really interesting about this deck is going to be two things. One, it is a very low pledge goal that has already been met. So anyone who wants to pledge into this should be able to get their own deck. In addition to that, this is coming from Madrid, Spain. One cautionary thing about this is that this particular tarot deck is only going to be mailed out within Spain itself. So anyone from the United States or anyone outside of that region, just be very careful, since this only has labeled to be shipped within Spain itself. With that out of the way, Beatriz Saez, even though this is their very first Kickstarter, one of the really nice things that they have done with this particular deck is that they have made a complete story around this one character called Marianne. It's supposed to be in a comic style format, and it's interesting on how they go through all these different scenarios and instances, and you get to see some of their quirks. The art style within here, as I mentioned before, and as the author described it, is going to be very similar to that of a comic strip. It also gives me a very close vibe to like a 90s cartoons, where they weren't 100% refined or high definition, but you were able to tell who the characters are, what they were doing, and really give you that vibe. Within this particular Kickstarter, you can see the different art styles and artwork that went into creating each one of them. One thing that you want to note is that even though there are a lot of references to the Rider-Waite-Smith artwork, not every single card is going to really fit as close to that as possible. So some of them may feel very different. So if the artwork itself is what's really catching your eye, then this is going to be a great addition to your collection. Another thing that I do want to add is that when it comes to the card back, we have the image of a magical frog, which means that because this is not a symmetrical back, that you're not really going to have the opportunity to see both the upright and reverse. At least you'll be able to know when a reverse card is coming because of the card orientation. Now, if you're looking to get a deck of cards for yourself, you should be looking at about 50 euros to go into this, but be very mindful again that this is only for Spain backers. All right, this next piece is quite interesting because it takes tarot to a different level. Now, what do I mean by that? The interesting thing is that on my last Kickstarter Gems, there was a different way on how to draw tarot cards from a bag. In here, we have dice. Now, this is the Ragnarok Sunset Seed Tarot dice. Now, forgive me if I keep mistaking and saying tarot cards instead of tarot dice, since this is more of like a newer territory for me to even say. The really nice thing is that this was done in coordination between Mysterious Balance, who is the one that is launching this Kickstarter, and with Marvoli, who was the artist. This is coming specifically from Montreal, Canada. And they have already done previous Kickstarters, so being able to see another creator just kind of come back and be able to get some of these art pieces out, it looks really, really amazing. One of the really nice things about this and what makes it very interesting is that this is going to be a set of 13 tarot dice, and within those dice, they're all going to have a different face. A big part of how this is being marketed is that it can also come in with this plate and as well as this coin that can give you a yes or no answer. Within each die, you can go ahead and you can put them inside the velvet bag, and you can go ahead and start rolling them to see what the pull would have been. Since this is covered in dice, one of the nice things that you get to see is that we have to take a new look on how you're going to do the artwork, basically just reducing it down to just symbols for the particular major arcanas and as well as the minor arcanas to go along with it. As you can see from the Fool, the Wheel of Fortune, the Empress, the Star, each one of them has their own symbol that is going to be outlining for you to remember and for you to recall back as you toss the dice. You can see here in this example, you're going to be able to shake the bag, pick a dice and just roll along with it and do it for as many as you would like. You can use this in many instances as you would normally do, like your daily pulls, or if you just want to do a more advanced tarot spread, just roll several dice at once. I love the fact that this is just very different and very out of the normal comfort zone for it, and just being able to see kind of what works with it. It's very minimalistic approach, and just the ability to just carry this anywhere as just having a small bag of dice really makes this stand out and be set apart. If you're looking to get your own little set of dice, you should be looking at a minimum of a pledge of 38 Canadian dollars, which is about 30 US dollars to go along with it. Now, this is the part where we get into the juicy content of a big inspiration to this YouTube video getting titled, which is going to be just AI art. And what is AI art? Basically, it is a program that you just kind of put in various types of parameters, and it will just pop out different types of images. At least that is my knowledge and extent of it. And some of the artwork that comes along with it can look very, very realistic. And that's the thing that I really love about this, because there has been many instances where I have browsed through Instagram and being able to see an artwork that I'm not sure if it's a photograph or a drawing really started to intrigue me. And then being able to come to Kickstarter and seeing 2 different decks with that same art style being featured, I just could not resist. This first one is the Fusion Tarot. This is done with an AI type of drawing style, and this is coming from Charleston, South Carolina. The artist in this case that was able to bring this to us is Puzzle Master 69. Nice. And they really took an approach of just being able to use the AI and being able to combine it with the wonderful world of tarot in order to give us a very beautiful deck. We can see each individual artwork and art piece within each card that was created, from the major arcana to the minor arcanas to go along with it. The nice thing is that if we can see through this Justice card, it can seem a little bit chaotic, but you can see the different textures, the different colors, the reflections, and all of that just kind of really captivating and having that be the masterpiece that's shown in front of us. Even this example, like the Death card, we can see the cloak, we can see the sword, we can see the raven that goes along with it. And being able to see how all this is getting put together into this wonderful piece of art really stands out quite on its own. As you can see here throughout this particular Kickstarter, you can get a feel of all of the individual cards from the major and minor arcana. And the really nice thing you can tell from this is that, at least for the minor arcana, you can tell that they follow very closely to the regular Rider-Waite-Smith art style. So this to me gives an impression that this could be really useful for anyone who's more like beginner, intermediate type of comfort level within tarot, where you just want to fall in love with the art pieces themselves, have that take the spotlight, and then just being able to do tarot readings with them. This can be a really great deck for you. The card back is very symmetrical, so whether you do this in upright or reverse, you shouldn't be able to tell the difference on which side you're looking at. In addition to the tarot deck, it will also come with a tarot book, and for some special add-ons, we do have this deck box that's created out of wood that has an imprint of your zodiac sign, which you can have customized to your own particular zodiac sign that you can use as a deck holder for this particular deck, or for any other deck for that matter. Another thing that really stood out to me for the add-ons is this tarot card display, where it really does take the card and makes it into the centerpiece of whatever you're going to have. This is going to be so incredibly perfect and very stylistic when you do your daily polls on how your day is going to go. Be able to do a recap. Just being able to see this and seeing with the different features that you can have this be displayed just really takes this one over the top. Now, if you are looking to become a backer for this particular deck, you should be looking at about a pledge of $38 at a minimum in order to get a physical copy of the 78 card deck along with the talk box and a keyword mini booklet to go along with it. Now, our last and certainly not least, this is another AI created tarot deck that is featured here on Kickstarter. This is the Technomage Tarot deck. Now, this one is quite in particularly very special. For one, you still get to be a part of being able to pledge for this particular deck so it can come to life, especially with the longevity that it still has to go within its cycle. In addition to that, this is coming from Salt Lake City, Utah, so this is somewhere closer to my local area. And the creator of this is Lee Duncan. Even though it is their first created project, they have backed some on Kickstarter as well. This particular deck, what really stands out is that it takes a panoramic image as inspiration for where the setting is going to be for a lot of the characters and a lot of the images that are going to have in this particular tarot piece. Although it can be a little bit different from what we're used to on your normal Rider-Waite-Smith, you can still see a lot of the same meanings, but in a very different stylistic approach to it. For example, in this Fool card, even though it can signify new beginnings, and being able to look into somewhere new, the nice thing is that it still also gives you some of those negative aspects of what could happen to a careless fool to go with it. Since this is predominantly focused on the art pieces and the AI taking charge, this is not gonna follow complete rules for the Rider-Waite-Smith, but this can also bring just a quite a beautiful collection, and the particular art that's going to be merged and fused within the tarot can really make this one top notch for anyone who gets their hands on it. Now, for those that are looking to participate and kind of get this one off the ground, you will be looking at a pledge of at least $40, and that should be able to get you the single deck as well as the tuck box that comes along with it. And there you have it. These are the different decks that are here on Kickstarter, going from a black and white and such a beautiful illustration to then kind of give us some of that reminiscent 90s art style, cartoons, anime kind of bits, to dice. I mean, that's just to me a little bit mind-blowing on how you can take such very creative concepts and put them together with tarot. I think it's just phenomenal. And just seeing that AI artwork. Now, as I did mention in the video, if you feel very inclined to go and pledge into any one of these, feel free to go ahead. This is not sponsored. This is not something that was brought up to me whatsoever. This is just me going into Kickstarter on my own free will and just kind of going and seeing some of the stuff that is calling out to me. Now, if for some reason there is a particular Kickstarter that was not featured in this video that's currently out there, you know, this is not a clock on it. It's just that I cannot make like an hour video going over through like every single Kickstarter because that would just be way too much. And I just kind of want to narrow them down and really call out some of the stuff that makes each one of them very, very unique. If this is content that you really are enjoying, feel free to hit subscribe. And so this way we can kind of keep up this little series that I have going on. Next month, I should be doing something very similar as well. And perhaps with such inspiration that I'm getting from all these different Kickstarters, I might just make one of my own. Do you think that would be a really good idea? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll be quite curious to see how many people tend to respond to this kind of approach, especially since this is something that I already love exploring and checking out myself. That's kind of all I have for right now. If you have any suggestions, let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye.